here at Free Body. It's Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And tonight I'm going to teach you about a muscle that can cause pain right up here at the upper back corner of your shoulder blade. Upper back corner of the shoulder, deep pain that limits your range of motion and may also cause an ache in your wrist. So before I get to that, go ahead and follow us, subscribe, like the video if it helps you, love comments. So leave a comment here. Thanks so much. And so here we go. Let's talk about this muscle that causes a deep pain, just this ache right here. And you might be sticking a ball in there. And teres minor is up there. That might be, you might think, oh yeah, that's it. But it doesn't fix it. It doesn't go away. And it is often a part of frozen shoulder. So if you're working with frozen shoulder and you can't do things like reach across to the opposite shoulder, if you can't reach back to hook your bra or scratch your back or, reach something behind you, if you are having trouble lifting the arm up past about 45 degrees or so, you start to get there, forward might be fine if it's just this muscle, right? And no muscle ever works in a vacuum. But let's pretend that this muscle is really restricted. You can't reach your arm. You can reach your arm forward, no problem. But you can't reach it out to the side. You can't rotate it in and reach behind you. You can't reach across. And it would hurt like if you're trying to catch yourself or do like side plank in yoga or something. It just hurts. And it's often accompanied, not always, but often accompanied by a deep ache in the wrist. Sometimes it'll feel like a strap is around your wrist and even cause ache, especially at the top of the wrist. It can go all the way around, more commonly at the top of the wrist. So what is this muscle that is wreaking havoc on the shoulder and maybe also on the wrist? That muscle is subscapularis. So subscapularis is a muscle that lives on the front of the shoulder blade. So let's say this is the scapula, this is the shoulder blade, and it fills the front of the shoulder blade. So it lays against the ribs, this muscle. And it's one of the four rotator cuff muscles with supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor. And it creates a little internal rotation. It really sucks the shoulder into the socket. So when it's got a death grip on your scapula, it's going to really limit your ability to move that arm freely. Forward might be okay, but to the side, across, back, big internal rotation, medial rotation is not going to work. External rotation to reach back like this, going to cause you pain. So subscapularis, as I said, participates with the other three rotator cuff muscles to stabilize the humerus in the socket. So why do we even have a rotator cuff? The shoulder joint is the most freely movable joint in the body. That means that it's like a ball on an almost flat socket. So we have the greatest range potential of any joint in the body at the shoulder. The problem is that what ends up happening is that the shoulder, those rotator cuff muscles end up kind of drawing the humerus into the socket to stabilize it, because what we gain in flexibility, we lose in stability. So the body has created this magnificent rotator cuff to stabilize that humerus in the socket. Now, sometimes those muscles take their job a little too seriously and can significantly limit your range of motion, your pain-free range of motion. Subscapularis is a big culprit in things like pseudothoracic outlet syndrome, in rotator cuff injury and dysfunction, that loss of range of motion, and the pain. And that pain up at the corner, it's always there. It always hurts right up here at that upper back corner of the shoulder. Might hurt a little bit in the deltoid, might radiate down the back of the triceps a little bit, often includes dysfunction or ache like a strap, pain like a strap around the wrist. So luckily, this muscle is really easy to access. And it can be shifted pretty quickly, and you can do it with your thumb. So I'd like you to just take a moment to move your shoulders around because I want to show you how to fix this muscle. And just kind of moving, circling. We're going to do a little internal and external rotation at the shoulders, just kind of warming things up a little bit. Now, when my daughter was little and she was snuggled up in bed with me as a tiny little baby, my subscapularis kind of seized up and I woke up with this horrific pain in the back of my shoulder and my wrist was just killing me. And I thought, oh, wrist, it's subscapularis. So I got in there, released my subscapularis, the pain went away just like that. So I'm hoping that's the case for you. And I'm going to show you right now how to release those trigger points and that tension in subscapularis. So you're going to take your thumb and you're going to lift your opposite arm up as far as you can. And you're going to stick your thumb right in kind of what I call the deodorant line, like where you would put the deodorant. Remember, the front flap of the armpit is pec major, and the back flap of the armpit is the lats and the teres. So we're going to get the thumb in that deodorant line, and then we're going to just let the fingers rest back toward the shoulder blade. And then you're going to lean forward. So I want you to kind of relax that arm completely. And now the thumb, I'm holding this back of the shoulder blade. The thumb is going to push directly straight back, and you'll feel the shoulder blade is there, and you'll feel that there's probably some serious tenderness right there in that subscapularis. So I'm squeezing this hand, this part of my hand, my fingers aren't doing too much. They're just kind of anchoring there. And then the thumb is pushing straight back toward behind you. So thumb hooks straight back toward behind you, and just do a little wiggle with the thumb. Start kind of warming up that tissue a little bit. Notice I'm rounded forward. I'm putting some slack into the muscle. And then I'm going to push my thumb right into against the shoulder blade. Now you can bring the thumb down lower on the scapula. I found a point right away. I know where this point lives in my body. So I got it right down there, pressing against the shoulder blade with the thumb. And then you can move a little bit internal and external rotation. Ooh, you feel that gets more tender and then softens, more tender, it softens, more tender and softens. Just a couple of times. Great. Now I'm going to find another spot. So my thumb has been down toward the bottom of my shoulder blade. I'm going to slide the thumb up and get up a little higher, going toward that upper corner of the scapula. Relax the hand at the back. Push the thumb toward the fingers, round a little forward. That's going to draw the shoulder blades out and forward, gives you easier access, and it slackens the muscle just a little bit. So you're going to explore all along that line. You could feel perhaps the firmness of the scapula underneath your thumb. I found another nice spot to work with. And twisting the arm at the shoulder, rotating the arm at the shoulder. Couple more breaths here. Great. And then we're going to release, do a little bit of circling range of motion, reach the arms out. My right arm is going like an inch further higher up than my left. So much freer. You can even see perhaps that my right arm now can go like right against my ear. My left arm doesn't get there, and I'm not making this up. My left arm doesn't get there. My right arm, much more range of motion just from that little release. So let's do the other side. We're going to take the right thumb. We're going to stick it in the deodorant line and then round a little bit forward so that you are allowing those shoulder blades to migrate a little bit out wide and toward the front. Fingertips rest on the back of the armpit, and now the thumb pushes toward the fingers. We're going to start down low. So here I am down toward the bottom of the armpit. We're going to start down low, and I'm pressing in right into the shoulder blade, wiggle around a little bit. And what you can do is just kind of systematically walk up that edge of the shoulder blade, going up a little bit more. Push that thumb in directly into that tissue on the shoulder blade. There it comes. So sometimes, as I've said before, there's some protective tension that's going to gather around your trigger points. You've got to give it a little time. That protective tension has to soften a little bit, sometimes to allow you to even feel that there's a trigger point there. So don't get caught up in too much movement. Just sink in, pause, take a couple of deep breaths. Now I'm going to keep going up, all the way up to the upper corner. If it gets nervy, just move a little bit around. Try to not press where it feels really nervy. But the tendons are underneath there, and right at that musculotendinous junction, there's often a trigger point, that upper corner of the shoulder blade. So thumb is way up in that deodorant line, rounded forward, shoulder blades migrating a little bit. You could even play a little with shooting the shoulder forward and back a little. As you kind of push the shoulder forward, that's going to draw the shoulder blade, the scapula, a little bit more into your thumb, and it gets even a little bit more spicy. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Okay, we're going to release, do some little circles, sweep the arms out. Now my arm goes almost right out. I could even just push it a little bit right to the side of my head. So much freer, so much more range of motion. Do a little cross the body with the arm, checking. And then bring your arm back behind you and just kind of see how that feels. Does it feel any freer? Maybe you can get your arm a little higher. So when you are releasing trigger points, you want to do it if you're having this pain pattern, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff you could do with it, right? You could release the pecs, lats, and teres first, maybe even the belly first, pecs, lats, and teres, release the other rotator cuff muscles. But I find that this subscapularis is key. If you have one shoulder that rotates forward, if you're having frozen shoulder or limited range of motion at the shoulder blade, at the shoulder joint, because subscapularis has such a strong pull, kind of sucking that shoulder blade in toward the body and sucking that humerus into the socket so strongly that it's going to lock it in there, and it will be very difficult to move your shoulder through its intended full range of motion. So again, I'm Kat Matlock here at Free Body in Asheville. And we're about to do class number 2 on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going through a 3-week series called Super Shoulders. And this is one of the things that has come up with students when they filled out the survey. What do you have going on? Let's fix it. And several people said they had a really hard time reaching to their back. So this muscle is one of the many muscles, one of the rotator cuff muscles that we're going to be releasing this Thursday. It's not too late to join. You could sign up. If you can't attend any of the classes live, no problem. We email you a link to the recording on Thursday afternoon. So join us for Super Shoulders. You can check that out at freebodynow.com. And send me some comments, send me questions. I love questions. I love helping people figure out stuff that's going on in their body. Subscapularis, feeling good. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.